The next running back we've got in the NFC here, we just talked about him a little bit. Let's talk about Aaron Jones, man. All right, now with Minnesota leaving the Green Bay Packers, what are we looking at with Aaron Jones, man?
Oh, I'm salivating over Aaron Jones, John, at the value that you can get him. We'll touch on that here in a second. But as you mentioned, Minnesota, he went from the Packers and said, fuck you. He's going to Minnesota, man, in the same division. This is awesome. He signed a 1-year, $7 million deal. All of it's guaranteed. What this means is Minnesota's not tied to him. They could run the nuts off this dude and it not affect them in any way, shape, or form. Last year, John, he had 600. So when we talk about stats, he had 656 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 30 receptions, 233 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. John, most of this, again, as I mentioned, he was out last year with multiple injuries. Most of this came towards the back half of the year when he was dominating, when they were making that playoff push. So for me, man, when he was at the Packers, when you look at the Vikings and the situation that he's on, this is really, really beautiful stuff. Really is.
All right, so Aaron Jones last year was the running back 37, so just outside of RB2 territory. Currently, he's the 18th running back off the board. So 61 is his ADP. So we're talking, fifth round here, roughly for Aaron Jones. Talk to me about the practical application of drafting Aaron Jones.
John, we showed it in the last mock draft, right? This is a guy that you can absolutely go running back if you're at the, let's say you're back half, right? Let's say you're 9, 10, 11, or 12 in a 12-man league, or 8, 9, or 10 in a 10-man league, right? If you're sitting there, you have the opportunity to go a really solid receiver. Or what I did in this situation is, and you called it out earlier, I went running back in the first 2 rounds. What I did then, John, is you're able to then go with 2 very good receivers. It just so happens Devontae Adams fell to me in 3. We called it out. It's not going to happen that way. I would be shocked. But who could be there could absolutely be that of Mike Evans, could absolutely be that of Marvin Harrison Jr. if he slips, other guys like that, Chris Olave, etc. So now if you end up peppering in, right, 2 additional receivers, you can come back and as your flex, you can have that of Aaron Jones. People might think that's not a sexy pick. I'll tell you why it is, though, John, is because of, number one, the depth. We saw what happened with running backs last year. They got hurt. They got decimated. It was brutal, limping into the playoffs last year, collectively. Secondly, is that you now have trade value. If somebody else's team members or running backs go down, you already have 3 top tier, in my personal opinion, running backs at this point in time. Let's just say you went JT, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones. That's amazing. So you can flip one of those guys and still make sure that you have those 2 receivers that you don't touch. Maybe you look to get a third receiver. Something like that happens. Maybe you package up and go down to get one of those top echelon type of quarterbacks midway through the year if somebody drafts backups or something like that. So John, what I'm getting at is, to get this guy in the 5th round, it gives you so much ability on the first 4 rounds to makeshift things. You could go 3 receivers and then have Aaron Jones be your RB1. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, knowing you're anchoring on those 3 guys. If it's more of a standard league or more of a half PPR league, get your running backs early and come back and get Aaron Jones. Again, it's where the value lies for him in the team that he is on. John, when we talk about the Vikings, right, we know that it's Sam Darnold. We know that it's J.J. McCarthy. Guys, yes, they're going to try to force the ball to Justin Jefferson. Sure, they're going to try to get the ball to T.J. Hawkinson when he's healthy and Jordan Addison. The reality of the situation is, though, in order for those guys to get open, in order for the quarterbacks to feel okay, you have to have a running back that you can rely on for some of these younger guys. And with that being said, John, that's why Aaron Jones is also going to be extremely important in his role at Minnesota.
Well, not just that, but receiver for the Chicago Bears, Tyler Scott, said he was the best football player he had ever seen live. Shout out to Tyler Scott. Link to the video up here. So when we're talking about Aaron Jones, I really like Aaron Jones as my RB2. There's a strategy there when you're drafting that you can get 3 receivers, 3 or 4 receivers in a row, or 3 receivers and you want to sprinkle in a tight end or grab one of those top quarterbacks. You can do that, and I'm okay with Aaron Jones as my running back 1 in that scenario. But I really love him as my RB2. Get a stud running back in the first 2 rounds, load up on receiver or quarterback, and then grab him in the 5th round as your running back 2. Love that. Now, if you can get him as your running back 3 or 4, don't even hesitate. Get him on your goddamn team because this is a guy you can play in the flex. There's going to be a lot of dump-off passes, especially when we're talking about these 2 quarterbacks. These aren't guys, they're going to struggle getting the ball deep down the field to JJ. But JJ's going to be taking a couple defenders with him. It's going to leave a lot of open space for Aaron Jones, so I do like that opportunity. And again, he missed 6 games last year. So, it's all of these running backs. I mean, we're assuming they're going to play a full season. We know they're not. These are guys you're going to have to take multiple running backs, have a stable of backs so you know that you're safe. But Aaron Jones is one of those guys, especially on a week-to-week basis with good matchups. I think he's a guy you're going to absolutely love.